Oh. Fucking coastal clouds. Lando!
We're alive now, so they're probably beat us. We'll probably overtake you all the time.
Well, I see Lando is with us. I don't know how I feel about having a bigger buffet than you.
I don't know, it's weird. We switched roles today.
There's a lot of times where I just have like one, maybe two.
Okay, if you count a disposable, then I have two.
Another galaxy.
I don't have a disposable. All I have is 3. I just have 3 setups.
They're out there.
2 tanks, 1 RSA, and 3 mods.
It may be because I'm just too lazy to rewick shit that I only have one setup going, and I was like, I only rewick 1,
You know
so I don't
they're
have to
out there,
rewick
don't
like 4 in a day. So it's like, I have 1 that's just sitting here, no tank attached to it, just needing to be rewicked. Like,
It's just chilling.
yeah, it's just hanging out in the tank section. So like, I don't know if I want to do this right.
Dude, I like broke down and finally cleaned all my my vampire the other day. I have a little dish, right? Like it's this little orange brown plastic dish. And it's for like, I don't know, salsa or some shit. But it just sits on my desk, and whenever I like get to a point where I'm like, okay, this needs to be, something needs to happen with this, rewicking, something needs to happen.
Put it in the oven.
I just unscrew it and I set it in the dish. And typically, if I'm good about it, I clean all of it every week. And I switch stuff all the time. Like I'm constantly switching stuff. And so normally I end up with like 3, maybe 4 things that I gotta clean up at the end of the week. I had like 12 things in this dish that needed to be cleaned up.
I just need an ultrasonic so I can just...
I used to have one. I gave mine to Duchess. I'm pretty sure I gave it to Jay.
Out of all people,
One for his
all people
coils.
you give something to.
What's that?
Fucking Duchess.
Yeah. Well, he just needed something to clean his coils, and I was like, well, I have an ultrasonic cleaner if you want it.
Fucking Duchess.
Yeah. And like, I didn't really use it all the time, you know.
Right.
So. Yep. And now I only have like 1 thing in the dish right now, currently. And it's Wednesday. We're not doing too bad. I
Yeah,
have one thing in the dish right
Probably
now.
have
It's
like
Wednesday.
probably 2 or 3 by the end of the week, maybe. Maybe tops, maybe 4.
You know
Probably
they're out
3
there.
though. I would say 3 is maybe the max.
I don't know. All 3 of these setups right now they're doing it for me. So I don't know. I might end up setting something else up.
This one
We'll
is
see how
just,
it goes.
I'm getting everything I want right now.
Yeah.
You know they're out there, don't
Just tank, crackly bait.
The right liquid. It's just I love it when everything comes together. You know.
Right?
Like it's a perfect wick, perfect
Right.
crackle,
You
perfect.
know what you
liquid.
call that? Good fucking day.
Yeah, hell yeah. And that's what I have. Like out of these 3 setups, that's all 3 of these right now. So like,
Not bad easier. We can start now.
oh, Addie's in the house. All right, start the show.
Okay. It's 6 o'clock anyway, so we should probably start.
We're gonna start the show.
Yeah, I think we start.
Yeah.
In the history of television, great men and women have brought us up-to-the-minute news as it happens. From the moon landing to the dangers of secondhand smoke. Sometimes they even make us laugh. The one thing that stays the same, everyone wants to know what's in the news. From the Voss News Network, your hosts, Poonsauce McNasty, and to give the show some credibility, Logan exhales. And now, back to the studio.
Boom. What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of What's in the News. We have a lot of shit to talk about this afternoon because
We do. We
A lot
do.
of
We
stuff
have
has
like a whole
happened.
mountain of shit to talk about.
yeah, it's pretty much shit. It's not really much good stuff happening at the moment, unfortunately.
I mean, let's be fair. Like in the realm of vape advocacy shows, sometimes it's just bad.
Yeah, it's just
Like that's just how this goes.
I want to have like it would be amazing if we had like a full show where it was just good news after good news after.
Yeah,
good
it was
news,
just
and
like
it'd be
boom, 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 just
like,
dopamine the whole time.
right?
You know,
Amazing. But
yeah.
before we do all that, it's vape law or vape YouTube law that we are required. Otherwise, we are put at gunpoint, and
It
we
is
have to
the
do
law.
buffets. It's like a thing. I don't know why.
And here's the thing, right, about laws. When you lobby for them and you advocate for laws to be put in place, you don't get to choose how they're enforced. Sometimes they are enforced with a gun. Sometimes they're enforced with a taser.
Yeah, and knees to the back and getting hog collared and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yep. So,
but I guess
But
I'll
it
go
is- it is
first
vape YouTube
since
law.
I have the shortest one out of the two of us today. That's weird to say, I guess, because I only have one setup going right now. Well, technically two,
know.
because the second one really has no effort. I'll just say right now it's a passion fruit disposable from, I believe this is Okami. Yeah, and I'm running to my last of them. I think I have maybe like 2 or 3 left since I've gotten the 10 that I got probably when COVID started or right around when before the vape mail ban. So I stocked up and they sent me 10 free ones. I'm like, okay, so I'm using them. And then finally I got my MK Regina DNA 75C stab wood little guy with
just
the
beautiful.
GT4S with a single breeze tones, technically series coiled, but I modified it to put it in a single, so it's just high ohm, low wattage, high voltage, and just like 5 volts in my face and
oh, beautiful.
crackly greatness.
It's such a beautiful mod, man.
I need to get some stuff to like clean some of my stab wood ones to get them like a nice polish. I just need to figure out
Yeah,
what
get
the
that
exact
shine
stuff
back on
it
'em.
is. But
Yeah.
and inside of there, I got a little bit of a go down memory lane kind of liquid just to kind of keep this person in my thoughts since it's been a minute and I miss him and this just helps me think about him more. I got some Nightshade from Witch's Brew, Gathering Vapor. R.I.P. Mark. Miss you, buddy. Other than that, that's pretty much it. What do you got today?
That's such like a delightful vape though.
Oh yeah,
Right?
Pitch Black Mountain Dew. Oh.
Oh, man. All right. Well, mine isn't as heartfelt, but it is a little bit bigger. Standard, right? Yard Mod 2.0, Aegis, Slide. In here, I've got some last bit of Rouillon Rouge from Mr. Sifu Mustache, apple, vanilla, tobacco. It's just a beautiful vape, man. And this is one of those, for the most part, this goes with like basically any beer you're drinking.
Right.
It's just delicious. you know?
Tobaccos go good with a lot of beers. I would say.
Right. The apple is sometimes where it gets a little weird, pending the vape. But for the most part, this is a really great just like sit down with a beer vape.
I think there's one. I think tobaccos and probably IPAs would be the most interesting. Just be kind of gives more of like a depends on the kind of tobacco it is as well. Where if it's like maybe if it's like a caramel tobacco, that sweetness would kind of add to like a malty
Oh
sweetness
yeah,
in the beer.
yeah, absolutely. Or like
Any
a honey
situation?
tobacco. Oh, bro, I love a good honey tobacco. But
But
it's the thing
tobacco
about honey,
vapes with a
right? Like
stout
it's such a good vape, but nobody wants to be around you.
Tobacco vapes with a stout or like a barley
Yes.
wine is stellar.
So good. Absolutely
Stellar.
so good. Next up, topside, purple OG topside, Citadel sitting on
That
top.
literally
with
looks like a
Delrin
nipple.
cap. What's that?
Looks like a nipple on top of there.
It does, dude. It looks like a little, look at that little RDA on
Just
there.
the teat.
But it's so good, right? Like flavor banger, 10 mils, you know? Can't go wrong. I have like a super secret coil in here right now. Ooh, mystery coil. But it's a banger. And I've got some Coastal Clouds Blueberry Limeade because it's just fantastic.
I forgot which one I have from Coastal Clouds in the drawer. I think it's one. It's like a berry mango one. I think.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh yeah, Mango Berry.
Yeah, the mango berry.
That's a good
think
one.
have
I really
one.
like Coastal Clouds, man. They're a great company. But here's the thing: it's sweet, right? Like their liquids are
Oh,
sweet,
yeah.
and the only one I'm glad that I love it so much that I can vape just like all day is the Blueberry Limeade. The rest of their stuff, it's delicious, but it can't be an all day for me. It's just so
Right.
sweet. Last up, Gaia. I don't know why I continue to use this mod, but I do. Blotto on top of there. I believe these are Saddle Horse Blues, staggered fuse Claptons in here.
Okay. Sometimes you just need a big mod. Big mod.
Yeah, like I
Good
just
size
needed a
tank.
big mod with a big tank. And in that, I've got some Saddle Horse Blues passion fruit. It's just
So we got passion fruit setups all over the place today.
yeah, dude, passion fruit. It's summer, right?
That's why I like
Summer.
pitch black Mountain Dew flavor when it comes to like grapes, like lime,
Oh, yeah.
citrus. It just works.
Yeah, grape is a flavor I've never had much luck with because grape automatically tastes like kids' medicine to me.
Do you remember have you had pitch black Mountain Dew?
I have, like the actual
This is
drink.
so damn like on the dot with how it tastes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Mark was a wizard when it came to like replicating, because how it all started was James was a big fan of Blast Off, which is from OPMH.
I've had Blast Off. Yeah, it's really
Blast
good.
Off's delicious. It's their Baja Blast Mountain Dew flavor. Well, they don't say it's Baja Blast, but it tastes exactly like Baja Blast. And he went to Mark and he was like, I want to get a pitch black Mountain Dew flavor, and this was the result of it, and Mark nailed it to a T. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Who knows, maybe Amy can probably find the recipes out there somewhere, so somebody, anybody wanted to mix it.
People could make it.
Because I bet you he might have written it down or had like a log of it somewhere. I'd have to ask Amy. I know I think he had to, because he had a decent amount of recipes that he did.
Sure,
like a
yeah.
bunch of stuff,
I mean, I'm
so-
sure somewhere this recipe exists.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
who knows? Might be able to find it in the future and have somebody else mix it and kind of do it like an homage to Mark kind of situation. Let his liquid still be out there in the ether somewhere. I think
In
that'd
the
be a cool
ether,
thing.
yes.
As long
Absolutely,
as his
that'd
stuff
be
is
dope.
still out there in the vaping world along with his mods, I think that would be still a cool thing to bring, like, have his memory live on kind of situation. Because what better way to do it than with a unregulated parallel box and then some bomb liquid. So, other than that, that's all we got for buffets today. So, we're going to start going into a bunch of stuff we have to talk about today. We're going to start with probably the country that's getting shit on like crazy right now. Like, over the past, I would say, it started with like, maybe like 2 weeks ago. It kind of started with all the kind of things going downhill with Canada. Well, we knew about
yes and
stuff
no.
was going to
I would
happen.
say it's escalated
Yeah.
to kind of more of where we're at right now in the last 2 weeks, but Canada has definitely been, a lot of this has been on the table in Canada for a while.
Yeah. And I know there's been a lot of behind the
Like
scenes with
a
like
long while.
tobaccokills.ca and all the other organizations are kind of just trying to band together and figure something out. Like right now is like do or die situation in Canada right now, because they have a flavor ban that most likely will kick in around next year. So let's kind of go into what the notice is about this one. So I'll drop the link in chat for you guys. Of course, we get a lot of our information. You can find it all over the place, but we like to stick to what our good friend Mr. Jim McDonald puts out there, because he's a fantastic writer, and Vaping 360 is a great platform for keeping up with anything news related or anything like that. He's a great person to follow on Twitter because he knows how to like dig at people with doing it very sophisticatedly and like
Yeah.
insult you without really insulting you, and it's like
Yes, he's good at that.
he's a wizard.
And then sometimes he just flat out insults you.
Yeah, he just calls you a scumbag
Like-
and makes everybody else happy. It's great because he's like, so this is the side of Jim we always wanted to see. But
Yeah.
posted the
And
link in
Jim
chat
is
for you.
also Jim is also a fantastic CASA board member as
Oh
well.
yeah, he's just a fantastic human being.
Yes. But just he will absolutely tell you to get off his lawn.
Oh yeah. So this notice was brought up, I believe the episode June 19th was when the notice was like printed and everything like that, kind of give everybody an idea of what's going on. So let's read it right here. So on June 23rd, the federal government of Canada will publish regulations that will prohibit the sale of e-liquids with more than 20 milligrams of nicotine. So right up there, one thing they have to deal with now is a nic cap, which you've heard what we had to say about nic caps. It doesn't makes sense. It sucks because every vapor kind of finds their way of quitting differently. And to get something to kind of restrict that, you're kind of putting a damper on future vapors in the country of Canada because you want them to kind of recreate as close of an experience to a cigarette as possible at first, because that's going to be the easiest way for the transition to work.
Yeah.
And now that making a nicotine cap, I mean, for most seasoned vapors, I guess you can say 20 milligrams is to me, it's reasonable, but I don't want to have that restriction on there for people. Like, for me personally, I can see 20 milligrams working, but there's people out there that sub-ohm 20 milligrams or 24 Nick. I've seen people
and to
do
make
all that stuff.
To make a quick point too, and it's not just it's not just seasoned vapors, or it's not just it's like there's no reasoning, like valid reasoning behind the 20 milligram cap. I mean, it's unreasonable in the UK, and it's going to be unreasonable in Canada. Like you said, people who are transitioning, a lot of people need higher milligram to make the switch. And then from there, whether they go down or not is irrelevant. You know, if somebody continues to use a 50 milligram salt e-liquid for forever from here on out, like, that product is still vastly safer for them to use than continuing to smoke or go back to smoking. And it still puts people at risk who do need higher milligram liquids to not smoke from going back to cigarettes. So yeah, all around, it's just nicotine caps are a terrible idea.
Yeah, because imagine all those vapors out there who quit by going into the local gas stations or local convenience stores, and what was their first setup? A blue, maybe a Slide, or not a Slide, a blue, maybe a Views, Juul, all that stuff have 50 milligram possibly. I know they have options for lower, but they probably pick the highest Nick possible.
Most like e-cigarette convenience store, minus like Enjoy and whatever, but most of them incumbent tobacco company products go by percentages.
Yeah.
So it's not always necessarily like 50 milligram.
Yeah, it's like 5% or...
But yeah, they're definitely higher milligram, and then some of them do have like some lower, but yeah.
And those are the ones that are going to be...
high milligram.
Yeah, those are the ones that are going to be impacted the most, because once this goes through, that stuff's going to be off the shelves. And that vapor that you only used to get their Juul, their Views, their Blue, just by maybe once every other week when they went to get gas, they stocked up. And now that product's not there, what are they going to do? Well, they don't have my stuff anymore. What am I going to buy? Let's buy a pack of cigarettes, and then...
Yeah, maybe they try the lower milligram, and it's just not enough. You know, maybe they find that they're now vaping twice as much, 3 times as much to try to get that, and then maybe it just becomes, you know, this isn't worth it anymore. I'm just going to go back to smoking.
Yeah.
Like that's a very real thing that's going to happen.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's missed opportunities. That's all it is. It's missed opportunities to get people off combustible cigarettes. And the Canadian government is going to pretty much sign the death warrants to hundreds of thousands of people, practically, for getting them back to switch.
You smoke, you don't matter.
Yeah.
That's the
and
message.
It doesn't make sense at all with all this stuff going through because of unified healthcare, which is what Canada has. And you would think the more people you have vaping, the less money that would be spent for surgeries, heart exams, all that kind of stuff that you have done with medical procedures when it comes to side effects from smoking cigarettes. How much money do you think that would have saved them? But all this is just asinine. It's kind of backwards of what unified healthcare kind of stands for, in my opinion.
And they're very aware of that.
Yeah.
But the thing, though, is when it comes to drug policy in Canada, they very much look to the U.S., as does a lot of the rest of the world. And so they're willing to say, you know, clearly the U.S. is telling us that there is this epidemic and that there are ways to, you know, curb this epidemic of youth use. And so we're going to restrict tons of access to adults who desperately need it in order to save the children.
Yeah. And then, so the next kind of date that we have on here is July 8th, which is on July 8th, regulations come into force and manufacturing and wholesale of e-liquid over 20 milligrams for the Canadian market will cease to exist practically. So July 8th is when manufacturing, nobody's going to be making anything above 20 milligram in the country of Canada anymore. And then the last day for Canadian retailers to sell liquids over 20 milligram would be July 22nd. So by the time July 23rd hits, all that over 20 milligram liquid that all these storefronts, all these wholesalers, all these manufacturers that possibly have available just sitting ready to be shipped out is now unable to be sold. So you're causing businesses money, you're causing so many people, just like you might cut jobs because the amount of money that people are going to lose. So that jobs may be at stake when it comes to shops, wholesalers, retailers, you name it.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to this as well, than just the 20 milligram cap.
There's supposed flavor bans that are probably in the work.
Yeah, the agency is proposing, quote Jim here, the agency is proposing not just a ban on flavor descriptors or characterizing flavors, as most flavor restrictions do, but setting out a list of allowable ingredients used to create tobacco, menthol, and mint flavorings. The agency will impose complete prohibition of all other flavorings, including all sweeteners used in e-liquid. And Health Canada estimates that 80 to 85% of existing tobacco, mint, and menthol e-liquids will have to be reformulated.
Imagine how much money that's going to cost to do all that for these businesses.
Absurd.
I would be surprised if they can afford to do that.
Yeah.
And there's a big question that Jim puts on here. Why is Health Canada vaping? I'm like, why is Health Canada banning vape flavors? So the flavor ban is being presented as a tactic to reduce youth vaping without any evidence to indicate that it can accomplish that goal. Health Canada says that the current available flavor variety is believed to have contributed to the rise of youth vaping. Prohibiting flavors, according to the agency, is expected to contribute to making these products less appealing to youth, which can help address the rapid rise in youth vaping. Like how you just said, they put so much care into protecting the kids. They're not thinking about the people that rely on this stuff to stay off of smoking. And now that you create all these dumb regulations and all these dumb little loopholes people have to go around, you're going to get so many people to go back to smoking. So many people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's see what else is here. But most teenagers who vape are not committed to vaping. Rather, the occasional experimenters whom curiosity, not flavor optioned, is the driving factor. Which, yeah, we've known about that ever since they started with the whole vaping, like the government-made vaping epidemic, because it's not an epidemic. The government created the epidemic.
Sure.
And let's see, if they get the flavors if they can't get the flavors they prefer, or if one at all, they will use a different flavor or experiment with cigarettes instead. And that's from a recent Yale study. Yale, a very, very popular kind of source for studies and all that kind of stuff. Yale's a really high platform and a very reliable source, I guess.
And that was a study that we discussed as well. That was the study looking at 12th graders, seniors in high school, who would have otherwise been smoking had they not had, access, availability, whatnot to e-cigarettes.
So there's a screenshot of what Queen City Vapes, our good friend Mr. Mike Smider, the owner of Queen City Vapes, kind of looked at a paragraph from the Gazette that the Canadian government put out, which what he says is the funniest paragraph so far. So starts with note 10, which says cost to vaping industry as a result of dual users modifying their smoking behavior. About 46% of current vapors, which meaning past 30-day use, ages 20 years and older, are dual users. 46%? Would you say that's accurate?
You have to remember that most dual use is a transitory phase.
Yeah.
So the percentage may always kind of be even in that realm. But as people transition out, people are transitioning in.
Yeah, because it looks like this paragraph
So it looks like a big number. but it's a transitory phase. It's not a fixed, like 46% are always going to be there, like those same people. No, it's a transitory phase. So
it looks like this paragraph
it's not a big thing, you know.
It looks like this paragraph is what the Canadian government is describing what the impact would be to the businesses and everything. So let's see. The total profit loss to the vaping industry that also manufactures tobacco products may be mitigated to the substitution of tobacco products from dual users who would go back to smoking and adults who smoke who would continue to smoke instead, or switching to tobacco or mint menthol flavored vaping products. After the proposal comes into force, it is anticipated that the dual users who currently use flavored vaping products would not substitute their purchases with tobacco, mint, or menthol flavors. They would choose to purchase more cigarettes, hence offsetting the loss of sales of tobacco, mint, menthol vaping products. What?
Yeah. They know with these restrictions that they're going to lose money in the vapor industry, but don't worry, that lost revenue will be offset by cigarette sales.
That is
by taxes.
insane.
And they're just laying that acknowledgement out there and saying, it's fine. Don't worry.
That is unbelievable.
That lost revenue will be taken care of. People will go back to smoking. No worries.
That is the paragraph right there that says the Canadian government does not care about your health, does not care about your well-being. All they want is revenue. And they don't care what industry they impact, because with the industry they're going to impact, they'll find other ways to get that money through the industry that one was destroying, which is the tobacco industry. And that is that paragraph just says it all right there. Absolutely says it all, and it's unbelievable.
Fear not. We'll make our money. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll just
if you're a Canadian vapor, make sure you're taking part of your countrywide advocacy groups. TobaccoKills.ca, Right for Vapors is always a really good one. And if you're a consumer in the country of Canada, talk to your distributor that you possibly. If you're a business owner, talk to your distributor. Figure out a game plan. Talk to your local shops if you're a consumer, because everybody needs to be involved at this point. Because it says right here, the Canadian government does not care about impacting the vape industry. Because all they said it right in literally black and white, that tobacco sales will make up for the loss of vaping sales. And
yeah, absolutely. Addy Tooney, he says, OMG, flashback to San Francisco vaping ban.
Right.
Yeah, we don't learn anything.
No.
And you know what's ironic is back in 2018, I believe it was 2018, maybe 2019, definitely somewhere in there, Canada was like claiming this big... Didn't Canada at one point put out like a survey to say, should we ban flavors like San Francisco has?
And then they came out and said
2018 or 2019
that vaping is a significant alternative.
They were so proud of San Francisco, and they were like, we should do this, right, public? We should do what San Francisco did. Now look at San Francisco. Smoking is up. How is that a good thing? Aren't you proud, Canada? You did what you're doing what San Francisco did.
And what was it? I know Canada came out where they actually published something on their government website where it says vaping is a significant alternative to smoking cigarettes, and they kind of had a slight glimpse.
There was like a moment of hope
for Canada, and then it
was gone.
Yeah, washed away with tar, cigarette smoke, and just the money covered in blood of the people that these cigarettes are going to kill eventually.
That is a graphic image.
Yeah, try to think about that, and I want you to think about it, because it's a tough pill to swallow, but it states right there that your government does not care, and now is more than... This is probably right now is probably the most important time for Canadian vapors to be making sure your voice is heard, making sure you're staying up to date with your local advocacy groups, your kind of countrywide ones like I just mentioned before, TobaccoKills.ca or Right for Vapors. So make sure you're following them on any kind of social media platform. Go to their websites, kind of sign up for like a newsletter because they'll send you emails with any kind of updates that's going on or any kind of pushes when it comes to possibly a rally. I know Canada's still going through heavily amounts of lockdown still, so that this is the perfect time for them to push this back because no friggin' groups of people can form, no really lobbying can happen. They're choosing now is the perfect time to do it because Canada is still so heavily locked down, and it sucks. They're taking advantage of a shitty time that a bunch of people have been going through for the past year, almost year and a half now, and now putting so many people's lives at risk, and it's sickening to even talk about.
Yeah. Well done, Canada.
Yeah, well done. Is Bloomberg over there whispering in your ear? I feel like he is. Matt Myers on one side, Bloomberg on the other.
There's a very high likelihood.
But we all just gotta help our brothers to the north and make sure we're spreading information because who knows? I can possibly see sales, if you're on a border state, I can see them kind of cracking down a little bit more on border patrol when it comes to what you're allowed to bring over the border. If somebody's going to take the risk of
sure. I mean, there's
going over the state line to buy their vapor products because they're looking for their higher milligram, I can definitely see the state patrol kind of enforcing things a little bit.
You're crossing country borders.
Yeah.
At that point, not just state lines. You know, you're Canada to the U.S. You're going through like basically customs and all that kind of shit. You know?
So I can see a lot more cracking down starting to happen on that regard as well.
Absolutely.
So we're definitely going to keep an eye out what the hell's Canada's going to do. I know we have contacts with Mr. Mike Smider. We have a couple people over there that are staying up to date. I know she's not in chat right now, but Miss PSS, Pam, I don't know where you are.
Pam Cakes.
Pam's always talking about and kind of keeping up to date with her stuff going on over there. So she's always a good person to ask what's going on because she's very up to date with it. Of course, I know Addie Tooney's keeping track of stuff. The man, the myth, the legend.
Man, myth, and legend. Legend, Addie Tooney.
Oh yeah, Matthew, freaking as weed sales are legal and all that kind of stuff, it's just they just need to learn the term harm reduction and just kind of remember what it is. And you kind of create one form of harm reduction that's available and you're going to take away another. And it sucks. So, but moving out of Canada for a bit, we're definitely going to keep an eye out on what's going on over there. But kind of going into the statewide things, there's a couple things going on when it comes to different states, still kind of staying to the East Coast because a lot of stuff is happening still when it comes to regulations that could affect the vaping industry. Like we're talking about Connecticut right now, which will become the 19th state to approve recreational cannabis. And Logan, so let's see, June 22nd update, Governor Lamont signed the cannabis legislation bill into effect today. Marijuana will be legal for adults who poses and use on July 1st, which that's a great thing. We always like hearing about other states creating legal cannabis. It's a great thing. It's a great harm reduction platform for people who are dealing with cancer problems, all that kind of stuff. My mom is a key person for that. She has cancer and she has a medical marijuana card, but now people who possibly are dealing with different kind of pain issues who weren't able to get a medical card now have an easier access for harm reduction and being able to live a more comfortable life. And
across the board, we should just end the racist and classist war on drug users completely. But yes, legal cannabis is absolutely a great thing. For a lot of reasons outside 100%. Of harm reduction and things like that.
100%. It creates revenue.
It's a good step.
Yeah, it's a good step in the direction. But on the same note of Connecticut, I believe there is also a flavor ban in the works in the state of Connecticut.
Yes.
So kind of take one with a gain, and then there's always
what somebody said in chat. Where is it? All the weed, yeah. Flavored harm reduction, boo.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
But I believe there is a flavor ban in the works in the state of Connecticut as well right now. So we're getting to the point where the entire kind of greater New England area is just going to be anti-vaping. Who knows if this one Connecticut's going to go through. There's not really much. I know it was introduced. I don't think it's been brought to like the table or kind of brought into the house yet.
So Connecticut,
Yeah.
their flavor ban did not go through.
Okay, so it did not go
So I'm gonna get this story wrong, so I'm not gonna tell most of it. But my understanding, now people can actually go back and listen to Alex talk about this last week or the week before. Kasa replays, check it out on SoundCloud, wherever. And Alex talks about this. I'm gonna botch this, so don't quote me. NBC News, don't quote me. But basically, the language in the Connecticut flavor ban bill underwent a bunch of changes at some point. And maybe people don't really know how it happened, but underwent some changes and got to a point where essentially Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and Matt Myers were so displeased with how this flavor ban bill turned out and how many loopholes were now in this bill that he would rather have no ban at all than have this blasphemy go through. So yeah. Regardless, for now, Connecticut does not have a flavor ban, but I'm sure new legislation with Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids approved language will be making its way, to someone's desk here soon.
Well, that's good. That it sucks that it took Matt Myers and them to be like, no, we're just go ahead, fucking just.
But like that tells you right there, if it's not full-on prohibition, they don't want it.
Yeah, they don't even want to hear it. They don't even want to talk about it.
From my understanding is basically it enabled, it gave retailers, sellers, what have you, basically the same rights, like, not rights, but what we have in New York, where you're allowed to bring products back to market with PMTA approval. And their language also included once your application is accepted and like all this stuff in it. I'm botching this. I know I'm botching. I'm so sorry, Alex. Alex is super disappointed in me right now. I'm botching this, but there was a bunch of stuff in it that they didn't approve of. And that the point being, if it's not full prohibition, they don't want it. They don't want exceptions. They don't want adults to have access to these products ever. If it's not full prohibition, it's not good enough.
Hey, well,
there's no compromise. There's no anything. So
maybe we can kind of learn from that, and who knows? Maybe on the state level, we can kind of use that as a kind of a little bit of a platform where it's like, what can we do to make sure Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and Matt Myers, all of them, don't want to be involved in what the hell is going on? Let's look at Connecticut. See what happened there.
We just want smoke-free areas in the restaurant. That's all we're ever going to ask for.
Just
25 years later.
Right. But congratulations to Connecticut for becoming the 19th state to legalize cannabis. It's where the numbers are rising, and once it gets to a certain point, we're probably going to see it on a federal level coming. I would say within the next year or two, we might see it on the federal level.
A flavor ban?
No, like a full cannabis.
Oh, cannabis, yeah.
I would say within
within
a year or two.
We already have legislation in right now for or on the table for decriminalizing all drugs federally in this country. At that point, I mean, yeah, it's, I don't know, legalization at least for cannabis is well on its way.
Right. And sticking into the same area of Connecticut, moving a little bit south of it, a little bit southwest, I believe DC is, I'm trying to create a map of the states in my head, and usually it's just a big
southwest
blank.
of where?
Connecticut, I think, right? Yeah, technically. If you want to look technically. We're going to DC for a little bit because now District of Columbia, the council voted, I believe, so this article came out on June 16th, which was less than a week ago, I'd say. Let's look. Yeah, exactly a week ago. To where the DC Columbia Council voted 9-3 Tuesday to prohibit sales of flavor vaping and tobacco products, including menthol cigarettes and cigars, in a last-minute change to the council exempting. The council exempted bars and restaurants that sell hookah products. So, this is DC kind of prohibiting the sale of flavored vape products, flavored tobacco, menthol cigarettes, you name it. But I can understand the exemption of hookah because that's a whole other ballgame when it comes to dealing with hookah because there's a lot of religious kind of protection underneath it.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of cultural significance to
very,
shisha
very
and-
significant.
and
If that ever
hookah.
happened, the amount of pushback that would be brought to them would be exponential when it comes.
Yeah, I wish vapors would show up like hookah smokers do,
Yeah,
or people who smoke hookah. I apologize.
I
But
used to be somebody who smoked hookah. I was my
I
last
guess
kind
would
of
you
step.
say technically you smoke shisha? I guess would be the right way to say that.
Yeah, because the
I
hookah is
don't know.
technically just the glass piece.
I've
that it
only
is.
ever smoked shisha twice, and I think
And
I've only
when I
ever
used to
smoked
do it, I loved it.
shisha
I absolutely loved
correctly
it.
once.
I absolutely loved it. I was still close friends with somebody that's Jordanian and like kind of has family from roots in the Middle East. And whenever I went over to his house, there were at least 4 or 5 of them going throughout his house at all times because he had a bunch of family over all the time. His mother and his father were always sitting in the garage, freaking having one on the table and just when she.
Yeah.
It's crazy too because she used to have the hookah at one point and then she had the pack of cigarettes on next to her. So kind of a back and forth thing. And she just wanted her cigarettes, but then if she wanted a little bit of a flavor kind of aspect to it, she moved over to the hookah. But
Sure.
and it's Washington D.C. it sucks that DC's doing that, but I feel like the menthol cigarette thing I think is what's going to be the biggest pushback within the DC area of the prohibiting of the sales of it, just because there's a lot of minorities and there's a lot of studies that minorities are the main users of menthol cigarettes, and there's studies to kind of show and prove it.
Yeah, Black Americans smoke.
And I know there was a lot of pushback.
Smoke menthols at significantly higher rates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, looking at this a little bit more, the bill requires a second vote on June 29th, but the result isn't expected to change. Following the second vote, the law will take effect after approval by the mayor and a 30-day congressional review period. So, we have the second vote coming in how many days? Let's see. So, next Tuesday is the second vote for it when it comes to a full-on District of Columbia prohibition of flavored vaping, tobacco products, and menthol cigarettes and cigars. So there's plenty of time still to kind of get a hold of your local representatives in the DC area, email the mayor, you name it, and just kind of just tell them your thoughts, tell them why you don't approve of this, tell them you're a freaking menthol cigarette smoker if you are.
Yeah, Addy Tuna, you're absolutely right. Like, DC doesn't have enough problems already.
Right. And then
Yeah.
let's see, the Washington, D.C. bill is typical of recent flavor bans prohibiting characterizing flavors other than tobacco. The law also includes synthetic nicotine products and seems broad enough to capture nicotine pouches in there as well. So people who use snus or all the kind of other nicotine delivery systems that are, I
Have one
guess,
in right now.
oral delivery besides smoking cigarettes are pretty much now included in that as well. So the flavor bill provides fines as high as $10,000 per offense for businesses violating the sales ban, but limits the penalty of individuals to $25, which may encourage street-level sales of menthol cigarettes and possibly disposable vapes. So right there saying with these fines and all that stuff, you're just going to create a black market in the city of D.C.
Take it from a New Yorker, DC. This is dumb.
Very dumb.
We in New York have the highest rates of illicitly sold and smuggled cigarettes of the entire 50 states. Like, we smuggle cigarettes because they're expensive AF here. If you just ban menthol cigarettes in DC, yeah, they're absolutely going to be imported, smuggled into DC, and sold out of backpacks
Oh, yeah.
by the pallet, dude.
And guess who was the first organization to come out and be like, we are so happy that this is happening. One of my least favorite just networks, organization, what you want to call it. The ACSCAN.
Yeah.
The American Cancer
Cancer
Society
Action
Cancer News
Network.
Network. Some of the biggest pieces of garbage on the face of this country. I would say on the face of this earth at this point, because their pockets are so heavily lined with so much black money, and just like, it's sickening. People who support that organization just make me sick. And what they tweeted out on the 10th at 6:59 p.m. was, thank you to all these people for advancing. I'm not even going to name the people, that's why I saw all these people for advancing the act to end the sale of menthol cigarettes and other flavoring tobacco products. And there's a big picture of a big thank you with campaign to, tobacco flavors hook kids on the top, and then right underneath it says flavors hook kids flavorshookkidsdc.org, and it's just those people just make me want to just vomit. And then we got a tweet right here that Greg Connolly put out, which in regards to it, because it's a section right here, section C, the person who transports cigarettes in violation of this section shall, upon conviction thereof, be fined not more than $25 for each 200 contraband cigarettes, or a fraction thereof so transported by him, or imprisonment for not more than 3 years, or both, and in addition shall be liable for tax imposed by S 47-2402 and the interest and penalties imposed by SS 47-4201.01. So now it's saying there could be, for people who are going to be trying to do this in the black market, there you can go to prison. There you can be $25 freaking 25
Or they're
per,
gonna
per
make
cigarette.
a killing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And it's just... And then Greg Connolly tweeted with this kind of on there, where even better, I believe they removed police from enforcement. So unless you sell flavor products out of a legally licensed business, there will be no enforcement for this. And they failed to recognize that that police still have arrest powers for untaxed cigarettes. Great job. Great job, Greg Connolly. We love you. We love the stuff you're coming out and making so much sense. And who knows? Greg's just one of those human beings that just... He warms my heart every time I hear him speak.
Oh, and yeah, Mowgli Vape said, WTF Rick and Morty, Adult Swim is not a friend of THR.
What happened
Listen,
with
man, this is a thing we see all over the place in regards to pop culture and things like that. You know, I believe that was with the real cost, so it's FDA. Like, yeah, they're probably not a friend of THR. I don't even know if they know anything about harm reduction, but they got paid, man. They're, you know, that's what they're there to do. They're there to create a show and make money, and they capitalized on, you know, a government agency giving them money.
I didn't even know about this Rick and Morty thing. I have to look into it.
Oh yeah, it's like a don't vape thing. I don't know.
Oh.
It's dumb. It's like a little short commercial from the real cost.
Ugh.
And here's the thing, like, Rick and Morty is I don't, what's Rick and Morty rated?
Adults. There's
Right? Like, it's not adult, so
that
is
is
it
definitely not a
Rated MA,
kid-oriented
I believe.
show.
So who's the target here? Like, if we're targeting messaging for teens, shouldn't we keep it to teenage television? I could be wrong. Maybe Rick and Morty is like PG-13, but I'm almost positive that it's rated
Stuff
MA.
I've seen that is definitely nothing with.
So it's a
PG.
show intended for adults to view, and we're putting this messaging on it? Like, I don't know.
In my opinion, they're as much of a kid show as South Park is a kid show. Where if you have young kids, do not let them watch South Park.
And, like, I get Rick and Morty is, like, pop culture, so, like, even teenagers, you know, even younger teenagers, my 11-year-old knows what Rick and Morty is.
Right.
She's never watched Rick and Morty, but she knows what Rick and Morty is.
Mowgli said, "We're the target. Apparently, they're intentionally fucking with us." So that's pretty much the FDA is just attacking every vape around there, just by a show that they probably know a lot of us watch.
Somebody Google, please. Somebody figure out real quick, what is Rick and Morty rated?
Let's actually look.
Who
at
is the intended audience of that show?
Rick? And let's see, Morty television rating.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty TV rating is, let's see.
Because there's an excessive amount of booze drinking and...
That really doesn't freaking say. It just tells me where to watch it. No, I want to get like their actual... See, what is that called? There's a specific name for it.
Is it? It's not.
Oh, TVMA right here. TVMA.
Yeah, TVMA. Yeah, so we have a show for adults doing this. Like, this show isn't intended for teenagers. It's not intended for the audience that the FDA and The Real Cost is claiming that these messages are for.
So they put that out there just to pretty much give a nice middle finger to all the adult vapors watching it practically.
Yeah.
And that's
who it's for.
But time to move on to our most sweat-inducing, rage-sweat-inducing, just something that makes me angry to talk about ever since that it came up. And I know it trended on Twitter for a while. A lot of like people speaking out about it was great, I thought, because there's hopefully going to be change after seeing this. I mean, even though we've asked for change when it comes to what actually happened. But time to give our thoughts on this Ocean City fiasco that happened. So kind of giving what I saw after watching it, if nobody's watched it yet, well, if nobody in chat's watching it yet or who hasn't, a kid was vaping in probably the boardwalk, I would say, of Ocean City. And from what I saw, they never really asked him to stop. What they asked him what was in your backpack, and he was taking off his backpack, and he gets tased by how many officers were over there? Like at least 3 or 4 were around him.
There's some firsthand accounts that he was vaping and he was asked to stop, or he was with a group and they were asked to stop. He had walked away and proceeded to take another drag on his vape, and that's where the situation escalated from there.
Escalating is that's more than...
Well, there was definitely no de-escalation involved anywhere in any of this, but there was definitely an escalation.
So, from what the original video shows, it was one guy, he was African American, was in the middle of putting, about to take off his backpack when the officer decided to tase him. And we all know, I'm not the biggest fan of tasing in general, just because that can produce harm to a body. You don't know what kind of medical condition somebody has. What if that person had a...
Sure, I think there are possibly appropriate times to tase someone.
Yeah.
You know, if they're about to kill you and or another human being,
right,
as opposed to taking that person's life. Tasing seems like a fairly appropriate response, but this young man was receiving conflicting orders, I suppose, to both get down on the ground and to remove his backpack from different officers that were there. And you can see in the video, did you share the article? Did you share?
Yeah, I'm going to share it right now because it has
trigger warning for anybody that does watch the video. There is police violence against a teenage young black man. So there you go.
Warning.
Trigger warning for anybody out there. But yeah, he was receiving conflicting orders to get on the ground and take off his backpack. And within, I mean, this young man he gets to hear. To just grab the strap of his backpack.
Yeah, because I'm watching it right now.
Like
he goes
pulling and he's not aggressive. He has his hands up. He's complying with law enforcement at the time of this incident. Has his hands up. Reaches just for the strap. And in that second that he reaches up, he is tased.
It got to the point where I think his thumb almost got under the strap. It
might have just made it.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was reaching for anything for that excuse to be used, because you look at his arm.
There was another event.
There were, I believe, like 4 other people who were arrested at that time.
Those 2 events are separate occasions as well. They're on different days. But yeah, and that event as well.
And then
where a young man was kneed repeatedly in the ribs by law enforcement.
And I
for simply
believe
vaping
watching
on the
this
on the
more,
boardwalk.
putting on, he's face down, getting handcuffed. I'm waiting to see if there's any knees used, but people videotaping and doesn't like anybody's putting a knee to him right now. But after all this is after he's put in handcuffs and everything, he was preceded and hogtied, by which
essentially hogtied and lifted and carried. They treated this young man like an animal, and it's disgusting.
And what was his crime? Vaping on the boardwalk.
Yeah, they charged him, I believe, with like resisting arrest, like failure to comply, something like that. But yeah, this is massively, like, just unnecessary treatment and uncalled for treatment of another human being. Still brutal treatment by overzealous pigs, Mowgli. Yeah, absolutely, by racist cops.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of legislators that come out and it's just vaping enforcement in the name of public health. That's what
public health.
And the crazy thing is, as well, I mean, I was so happy to see this trending all over Twitter the day it happened. It blew up. Absolutely.
I don't know, as though, I mean, I'm not happy it happened.
No, I'm not happy about it, but
I'm not happy that it exists. I'm not happy that it took place. I'm not happy that those bans on the boardwalk exist.
Right.
Place bans. We recently on Casat talked about place bans. If anybody wants to check out that episode, we did a deep dive on place bans and just how shitty they are. And these are the results. You know, for the most part, people perceive place bans as this thing to keep people safe, you know. But the reality is there's no scientific evidence anywhere, period, to support a place ban, particularly, most importantly, outside in open air. Whether you're talking about smoking, whether you're talking about vaping, there is no evidence that supports that, you know, when you are outside and a waft of someone's cigarette smoke happens to blow by you, that you are in any kind of danger whatsoever.
Right.
Just walking down the sidewalk with traffic going by you is far riskier in regards to your lung health than happening to be by someone smoking a cigarette. Like, it's absurd to begin with. But these are the results. So Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and Matt Myers, when you lobby for policies like this, you do not get to later on put out a press release by how horrified, quote, horrified and outraged they were at this incident. You don't get to lobby for a law and then get mad at how it's enforced. You don't get to choose how it's enforced. And all too often, it is enforced at gunpoint. Or in this case, taser point. And some people say, well, that's better than gunpoint. That doesn't matter.
No.
Sure, it's better than gunpoint, but that... What?
You're still putting harm to somebody who did not deserve the harm.
In that argument, you're defending this you're defending these officers tasing this young man who was complying with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weak, terrible, shitty argument.
And all these, the one thing, I don't want to say there's any really bright side to this being in existence of it happening, but the only thing I can think of when it comes to, any kind of bright side of this, even if you could call it that, would be this is now something that non-vapors are seeing, non-kind of people who didn't really care about what the enforcement was, or it's all these deniers where all these laws and coming out, they're how are they going to enforce it? This is right here how they're enforcing it. Are you going to stand by and do nothing as this continues to happen? I want this to open people's eyes and realize that they're willing to go to any means necessary to make sure this stupid anti-vaping law, no vaping in public thing when it comes to Ocean City is enforced. They're willing to do anything for it, and you think that they're not going to enforce it? This is the result of that.
Sure.
And want all the naysayers to see this and imagine if you were a parent or if you were that teen that did it. You're just walking down Ocean City, walking the boardwalk, take a hit of your vape, just one hit, tell you to stop, be like, okay, I'm just going to take one, just take a hit, be like, it's nothing. Take a hit, walk away, and proceed to ask to remove the backpack, put your hands behind your back, or if they had him wanted to lay on the ground, if they were going to arrest him, and then proceed to get tased. How would you feel as a parent or as that individual?
I believe his mom is quoted in the NBC News article saying something along the lines of how they treated her child like an animal. Yeah.
If I was a parent and saw that, my anger level would be absolutely through the roof. I would be fuming that somebody treated my child like that and treated him like a pig. Because that's what you did. You tased him, tied him, and carried him
for
to
people
your
who
police
are
van.
seriously, though, like really shocked at this, like honestly shocked at this, I just want people to understand that this is absolutely the drug war. That's what this is. This happens to young people all the time, particularly young black men all the time, for things as simple as having a gram or two of weed on you, having a small amount of drugs, you know, hitting a vape. Like, this happens every day.
This kind of thing, for any naysayer out there, should ignite a fire under you, because now you know what they're willing to do to enforce this stuff. What they're willing to do to make sure that the laws they put through are staying intact.
And often it's worse than this.
Yeah. We're lucky that it only got to the point of where it went. It could have gotten a lot worse. How many kids have been shot and killed because of similar things like this? Luckily, it was only a taser. I wouldn't want to be talking about it today that they decided to shoot this person instead.
We would
Because-
still be talking about it today, but yeah.
The situations to
No,
where
lucky
if
this
they thought he was reaching for something,
is alive, that's a good thing, but
It's not.
It's laws like this that hand law enforcement more power to harass, arrest, incarcerate, harm, and murder our families, friends, communities.
it's
Yeah.
very upsetting to talk about, because being somebody who's like me and Logan, who are trying to fight for our rights and stuff, and now knowing what means they're willing to go to for stuff like this, it kind of puts a little bit of fear inside you, because I don't want this to happen to me walking down somewhere if anything happens like that. Logan doesn't want it to happen to him. No, Logan doesn't want it to happen to anybody. We don't want it to happen to anybody. And this gives us more like fuel to our fire to continue to do what we do and try to inform people what's going on, try to fight against these unlawful legislations that are coming out, because now we're starting to see the result of it. And it's sickening. Everybody in chat right now who watched it should be sick to their stomach, because it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Mowgli Vape citizens, they're sworn to protect and serve, although all too often they fail to do either of those.
Protect and serve has been lost in the police force for years and years, in my opinion. They're guidelines that are, to me, they don't even care about that. It's like people
It's
just
just a
want to be a
slogan to put on
cop
their
just to
badge.
say they can. A lot of times to what really okay, there's one scene that kind of, after I saw this, a scene from a TV show kind of went in my head. You remember that Family Matters? You ever watch Family Matters?
I was not a big Family Matters guy.
Well, there was one to where his kid was driving in a white neighborhood, and two police officers decided to pull him over and ask him to leave his vehicle, put him on the ground, and cuff him, because he supposedly looked like somebody that was like kind of similar to a profile of somebody they were looking for, just because he was black. And that father of the kid that had that happen to him was on the police force, and he confronted these two officers And it's a very touching moment. I know I see it go along social media all the time because it's something that was made back, well, I say that show came out probably early, maybe late 80s, early 90s, was still going. And it still kind of counts to what's going on today. To where it shows that he played the role of an officer who stands by what Mowgli said, to protect and serve. And then he asks, because it was one guy that's been on the force for X amount of years and his partner has only been on the force for a year. And he asked him, that, why'd you join the force? And he was like, because I want to protect people and I want to stop bad people. And then he looked at him and was like, well, your partner, he's one of the bad ones. And then that's when the scene ends.
Yeah.
It's still a very, very kind of touching. Yep, Lando remembers that episode. It's a very touching episode, and it's still crazy how much that still counts in today's life.
Yeah. Mowgli Vape says, too many schoolyard bullies become cops to continue to assault people. They ruin any kind of citizen-police relations. So here's the thing. I don't think that every single officer is a bad human being. But I think they operate within a system that is classist, that is racist, that is an abuse of power, that deprives human beings of their human rights. And when you agree to put that badge on, you are also acknowledging that you are going into this incredibly broken, incredibly harmful system. Even if you have all the best intentions in the world, even though you may be, in all accounts, a good person, you're still putting that badge on and acknowledging that you are going to go out and operate within this system of brutality and violence against other people. That's my overall take. Not that every person who does, who decides to become an
there's
officer,
a bunch of good cops
I'm
out
sure a
there.
lot of
I
people
know
become
plenty of
officers
them.
because they truly believe that they're doing very good things, and there are really good people who become police officers. But the matter is, that's the truth. You are agreeing to put on that badge to operate within that system, and you are absolutely going to harm people in doing so.
It's like,
And that's because of the system that we have.
Yeah, there are a lot of good cops out there. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's those bad ones out there that put it into their own hands and kind of ruin it for the rest of them. And that's why we're seeing such an uprise about people being against cops. It's those people that are ruining it for the rest of them and possibly putting their lives in danger as well, because there's been brutality against the police force and all that kind of stuff. It's a crazy time we live in, and it's just going to get worse with all these legislations going through, and every kind of still a flawed system when it comes to
It's a system of punishment because we don't have a system in place to address the underlying needs of people in our country. Like, it's just a broken, terribly abusive punishment system.
Right.
And that's what it is. So.
And this was just another check mark on the list of showing how flawed and how broken that system actually is.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it gets a lot of vapors at home, because now we know that it's happening with something that we partake in.
Sure. I mean, it was also this young man. It was illegal for him to purchase these products.
Right.
I don't know if there's a use law or a possession law overall in Maryland or not. But yeah, that's it. Again, I don't think every officer of the law is a terrible human being that deserves to be stripped of their of their whatever. But it's just a broken system. Mm-hmm. It's just an incredibly broken system.
And I know a lot of people, when it comes to talk about advocacy on YouTube and Twitter, kind of shared their thoughts on this last week when it was happening. And so me and Logan wanted to share our thoughts about it, because it's still something that is still kind of out there. It's still being talked about. And just share our 2 cents about it. I know it's been talked about all over already, but we just wanted to share our thoughts on it a little bit. But now that we're getting towards the end of things, we want to kind of cool things down a little bit, get the rage sweats from stopped, stop dripping down our foreheads and all that kind of stuff, and kind of just do a little bit of reminders of things that are going on within CASA, different calls to actions, and of course we like to end the show with some nice testimonials that we just started to do. We like hearing people's stories and how they quit from smoking to vaping, all that stuff, and it's just awe-inspiring. It's a great thing to do. So let's look at the call to actions just to give people a quick reminder that this is such an easy kind of thing you could do. Bookmark CASA's website. You can even bookmark the link that I'm about to throw in chat for you guys right now. It's so easy to do to keep up with what's going on through CASA. All the call to action on the statewide level, on the federal level, you name it. Pretty much the link I'm posting right now, that's all you really need to bookmark. One of the only things you need to bookmark, and because it'll take you right there, take you to all 50 states, and you look below all the open calls to actions that are available for in each state. Or you can even go and click on your state and find an open call to action. Any state that you may live in, you have a vacation home that you visit frequently throughout the year, or you have family that vape in a specific state. You want to keep up with what's going on within any specific state, this part of the website is perfect for you. And I highly recommend everybody in chat right now to have this bookmarked and just check it every other day, maybe a couple times a week, just to make sure you're up to date so you know what's going on. It's a great platform. I love how Danielle's done it when it comes to creating this whole website in general. The CASA website is one of the best resources for vape advocacy you can even have. It's fantastic. She did an amazing job.
Yeah,
So,
Danielle Jones.
Yep.
El Presidente.
Good old DJ. Good old DJ. But let's see if we have any flavor bans that are still open right now, or any kind of calls to action that are still open. Let's see. There was the one in Maine, I believe, is still out there in the ether. So that's still, if you're living in the state of Maine. There's LD 1550, which would ban the sale of vapor products and tobacco products in flavors other than tobacco. This includes mint, menthol, and wintergreen. And we're waiting for it to kind of come out of the joint committee, and go into the House of Representatives for further consideration. And I think that's what we're still waiting on when it comes to that state right now. And I believe Rhode Island is still dealing with the flavor ban as well. I don't know if anything ever happened with that, or if it's just
I believe they are.
Let's see. Kansas City, Missouri. What do we got here? Is another one to where update, like, being brought back for consideration by the finance government on June 16th. So, email testimonies might still be available, while no testimony to attend was available for people to go in and actually give vocal testimony. You still have the opportunity to send emails out to your local representatives within your county or all kind of stuff. If you're in the Kansas City, Missouri area, you still have time to speak out on why you oppose this. The email's still active. You have, it shows all link, public testimony at KCMO. Yep, KCMO.org. Still right there. You can still take the opportunity to give a testimony. Take advantage of the platforms that the CASA has given to you to write your local government, your local legislators, you name it. Show them how you disapprove of this, and show them that you're an adult vapor and you want to make sure the product that helps you stay off cigarettes is still available. And other than that, let's see. Before we head out of here, let's look at a testimonial right here. Me and Logan were looking at him yesterday, and there was one.
Ooh, I picked out a good one, man.
Yeah, it was a really, really nice one.
This one stuck out to me because it was submitted on my birthday, June 2nd of this year. So we'll read this one out. This one's from James. Also, this is number 13,338 in our testimony lineup here. Hi, I'm James. Hey, James. Hi, I'm James. I'm a working class father and husband. I'm 31 years young, and I smoked cigarettes for 15 years, half my life. Nothing worked during those years of smoking to aid me in my wanting to quit. Gums, patches, etc., none were any help. Then, when vaping was first introduced into my rural area, I tried a cig-alike. Terrible. that almost ruined vaping for me entirely. It wasn't until a few years later when I got to try my friend's sub-ohm tank, and wow. I went out and got my first box mod and tank combo. It took a little time, but eventually I did go sometime combustion free. Then problems had arise. I believe we mean arisen here, but then problems had arise. Broken mods, tanks, constantly leaking, coils bad, burnt. When brand new out of the package, I got irritated and it was getting expensive, losing juice and wasting coils. I ended up smoking again until my oldest son on a random day just said to me, "Daddy, I liked it better when you were vaping." So from that point, I knew I had to find a solution. So I did my research on anything I could find. I needed something more affordable and durable. I was drawn to mech mods and building, and today it's a part of my life, and the entire family hasn't looked back since. 5 years combustion free as of 5/31/21. Well on ya, James. Well on ya, James. That's dope, man.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I
Absolutely
relate to this a
fantastic.
lot in the fact that I smoked for 12 years, and a lot of those products didn't work for me either. Gums, patches. I never tried patches, but gums and lozenges I tried, and they didn't work for me at all. And I also tried Cigalikes early on. It was like 2011, and it was bad. It didn't work for me, and I just went back to smoking. And it wasn't until I went and got a mod and a tank and actually, quit from there. So yeah, I get it, man. Those early Cigalikes, they were not good. They were
That
not
one
good.
quote that his son tells him just sticks with me whenever I read this. Daddy, I liked it better when you were vaping.
Yeah, it smelled better, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if that's the baseline, like, Dad, the other things smelled a lot better. Those cigarettes stink. Like,
Gives me a nice warm feeling in my heart reading this. It's just shows the stages of attempting it at first, then not enjoying it, going back to cigarettes, finding it. It's like it just shows the time progression of being able to say on 5/31/21 that you were 5 years combustion free. It tells your entire story of how you were able to make that happen.
I think it also highlights a few really good points here. The absolute need for a variety of products, right? Like, for a lot of people, those Cigalikes did work, and products that people get at convenience stores and gas stations and things like this right now are working. Those need to remain on the market. People use those, and then for some people, those products didn't or still don't work. And so something like a box mod and a tank, either variety on the market is a necessity here. I think that's a really good point that we see from this. Is that people need to have access to a variety of products to find what works for them. And even those products, the box mod and the tank didn't work after a while. He had a lot of issues there, and he actually went back to smoking for a little while then too.
I just realized people heard the weed whackers in the background. My bad. Somebody across the street was getting their lawn mowed.
Yeah, hashtag weed whacker in the background.
Yeah, don't mind that. Neighbor across the street has somebody that comes by like every once, maybe a week and a half, and literally takes 5 minutes. They have the ride mower. It's the tiny lawn. It literally takes them minutes to finish.
Yeah.
Go over there, do it, and they're done. And it's unfortunately they decided to come through when we're doing a live. Thank you very much, people. But good job. Lawn looks great.
Good job.
You could have picked a better time. You could have came earlier, but oh well.
But
yeah,
good on you, James. Congrats on 5 years combustion.
Yeah, it's
I
a
hope
huge
that you
accomplishment.
and everyone in your family who is also now combustion free, because it sounds like the whole family. There's something in there.
Yeah, the whole
holds it,
family is happy about this experience, and
today it's a part of life, and the entire family hasn't looked back since. So we wish you well, James.
the family
I hope
effort,
the family
and
as well.
we all are hoping that things are good with James and his family. This created a big step for them and moved them in the appropriate direction, which we love to see. And remember, if you want to get a testimonial shared on this said show, you can either send it to me and Logan in the DMs, and we'll look at it, and we'll possibly share it.
Absolutely.
Or
I'd love to share people's stories.
you can go on to Kasa's website and share your testimonial yourself. And who knows, it might be one that me and Logan pick off of Casa's website to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's always great. Let's see. I want to see it get up to 15,000 within the next, by the end of this year. I would love to see it at that point.
Well, Casa's been around since, I might get this wrong. Sorry, Kristen. 2008.
With only 13,000. Let's make it the loudest year ever with testimonials.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
So, I don't know when the Testimonials project was originally launched, though. And I could be wrong on Casa's
Let me see if I can go, if it takes me back to the
date, but I believe it was 2008 when Casa was...
Oh, God, there's Okay. So, the first testimonial was published on 5/2/2013. Which actually... Let's go back and look at some of these really old ones back from...
I got it wrong. Casa was formed in 2009.
Okay. How about this next one we'll do on our next show? We'll go back and look at one of the old ones and kind of see the differences of how they were able to transition and see how it impacts today and see if that, who knows, may still be a thing. I think that'd be a really cool thing to talk about and look back of how it changed throughout the years.
Dig. You could absolutely dig if you wanted to. There's over 13,000 of them there to go check out.
We could take a look at them and kind of show how it's changed a little bit. And I think that'd be a really cool thing. But other than that, that is pretty much what we have for you guys this evening. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are amazing. Make sure that like button. Check us out in all of our social media platforms when it comes to Instagram, Twitter. Shoot us a follow on there. You can tune into us every other week, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and I believe that is 4 p.m. West Coast time. I don't want to...
Yes.
And then it's 5 o'clock Mountain Time, which I know people always forget about them, but it's okay because it's a small spot, so of course we're going to forget about it at times.
I always get Mountain and Central confused, so I just tell people, Pacific and Eastern time, and then, if you're somewhere in the middle... You're on your own. Google foo, man.
Anything you want to kind of shameless plug before we get the hell out of here?
Plugs? Join Casa, please. Please join Casa. Do that, first and foremost, if you haven't already. Tune in every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern for Alex, Kristen, and I, and the Casa Live Advocacy Update live stream, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Check that out. It's always a good time, always a great discussion. And then I guess if you want to hang out with me, I'm live every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on my Instagram. I drink beers and I vape stuff.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you want to, like he said, he drinks beers. Of course, you can tune into my channel every single day for live reviews of craft beer. I do every single day, kind of varieties all over the place. There's one little link I wanted to share around a little bit that Oh, Nick, get the hell out of here. I'm going to delete that comment.
And do that too. No, just go.
Should I delete that just to be a dick? I feel like I should.
But make sure that you subscribe here first. Don't go.
Yeah, go to Casa first and join.
Chat and go to Nick. Make sure you click subscribe here first if you haven't.
Yeah, subscribe here, go to Casa, join, and then go to Nick's channel. And then subscribe to that. Leave him for last. Leave him for last. He's perfectly fine over there.
I'm just kidding.
He's perfectly fine over there with where he's at. Let the little guys play for a little bit, rap bastard.
Seriously, though, everybody should follow.
Love you, Nick.
Subscribe to Grim Green. Nick does an excellent job. He's a fantastic human and a great advocate. So thanks, Nick, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for doing what you do. We always appreciate that we can fill almost every week with advocacy talk, thanks to him and Danielle, and then me and Logan for their off weeks, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So if you want,
there's a lot of people out there doing really great advocacy work right now too.
Bunch of stuff, but knowing that you can have a dedicated team, I guess, because we're all on the same team here, we're all fighting for the same cause.
Yes,
and it's
we are
a great thing.
Absolutely.
But before we get out of here, like I said, do live beer reviews every single day. When it comes to weekends, usually at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Central on weekdays, except for days that we have this show. Those happen at 3 p.m. Central. And there's one more link I wanted to share around that I talked about in my review this afternoon. There is a local brewery of mine. If you don't know, the Midwest got hit with a crazy kind of storm front that went through the northern part of Illinois, kind of going through Canada along with Michigan and Indiana and all that. And
We caught like the tail end of it here.
yeah, and a local brewery to mine got impacted heavily. The tornado that came through about maybe 20, 30 minutes. I would say probably 30 to 40 miles south of me. It's a brewery called Skeleton Key Brewery. And they were impacted heavily. The tornado came through, hit their tap house, completely destroyed their tap house. And luckily,
Ooh, that's not good.
a lot of their equipment was still salvageable, but their
That's
location is completely unsupported at this point, to where they're going to have to completely rebuild. The structure of the building is kind of compromised. So there's a GoFundMe right now that is out there. I know some of their stuff that they had previously canned is available at other breweries local to them, and all the money gained from buying Skeleton Key Brewery's beers within the local area is going directly to them. But there's a GoFundMe right now for their goal is $150,000 for, and it contributes to pretty much helping with staff that are now out of work because the vocation is out, and helping out with trucks, rental items for forklifts and all that stuff to help repair, along with feeding volunteers and staff that are assisting the repair of this said location. And with a $150,000 goal, they have already reached $105,878 when this GoFundMe was created 2 days ago, and I think it's great. So I always promote that there's a lot of unification within the vape industry, and I see that a lot within the craft beer industry as well. And this is just another proof of it, that I'm looking at everybody that's donated. How many other breweries? I see Goose Island Beer Co. donated $2,500 to this cause. Goose Island.
I had a fantastic beer from Goose Island.
Goose Island is
this past weekend.
I would still consider them craft beer around Chicago. They're more of the well-known, probably one of the tops within the Illinois. They've branched out to being distributed through, I know Miller does a lot of their stuff distributing them and all that. So they're widely known around the country, and knowing that they like to stick to their roots and help out, I would say, colleagues, because making craft beer is always, it's not really as much of a competition to me. I don't see it as it, at least. And
no, I think it's just this big, beautiful, like you said, it's very
a big
similar
group of people that just
the
love to
e-liquid
drink beer and
industry,
make
the vaping
beer.
industry.
Yeah,
it's just people sharing things and
sharing ideas
just
and all that
enjoying
kind of stuff.
this beautiful experience and product. Yeah, it's dope.
So if you have any money to donate, maybe skip a coffee to help a local brewery of mine get back on their feet. It's a business we all in the vape industry have promoted, talking about saving local business, helping out locals when you can, because there could be somebody in chat right now that, who knows, possibly is a vapor that works there that got impacted from it, and there's so many factors that could help there. So if you are willing to take a little bit of cash that you have available, $1 will help them. Anything helps when it comes to helping a local business stay on their feet.
Where is this GoFundMe, Corey?
I am posting it in chat right now. Actually, I'm going to make it a smaller. I'm going to do the tiny URL one, because that one's long as shit. Let's do this, because I know share, copy, do this, and boom, right in chat for you guys right now. Here's the link to the GoFundMe. We always talk, like how I said, we always talk about helping out small businesses, and this is just another way to show it. And when it kind of hits home to me, because how big I am into the craft beer industry, and how big I am into pretty much helping out local businesses, making sure that, because local business is what keeps America going, in my opinion. It's the lifeblood, the roots of what being a business owner in America or throughout the world stands for. And so I always try to support small business and all local business as much as I can. So definitely going to do a pretty good donation to these guys, just because I want to help out fellow craft beer lovers that are being impacted heavily from this. And I know it's a tough situation, because natural disasters like that, you really can't control it. It's a freak of nature kind of thing. But
yep,
always willing to help.
It'd be great if we could control nature.
Yeah, and
actually, I don't think that would be great.
I think
we try to, and it always goes horribly wrong. So maybe we should
terrifying.
just let nature be nature.
So if you have couple bucks to spare, if you want to give yourself to a good cause and a good group of people, go over there, help them get a couple bucks, help them get back on their feet. It's a family run. It's a younger crowd. It's really good people over there. So highly recommend, if you can, please do so. It would help them out a lot. But other than that, that is what we have for you guys this evening. So remember, we will see you all in 2 weeks. And I'm stealing it from Logan because I think it takes into effect. We're gonna stay safe, stay healthy, everybody. We'll see you all next time. Stay safe, stay cloudy, and have a great rest of your night.
Bye.